The sea stretched endlessly, its waves crashing against jagged rocks with a sound that was both terrifying and beautiful. Liam, a young engineer with a curious mind, stepped off the small boat that had brought him to the remote coastal town. He had always been fascinated by old structures, and the lighthouse on this cliff had called to him for years. Standing tall and weathered by countless storms, it seemed to hold secrets within its thick, gray walls. Liam's heart quickened with excitement as he approached it, his boots crunching against the wet sand. Dark clouds gathered above, and the wind began to howl, tugging at Liam's coat. He glanced back at the small town, its streets nearly empty as the first drops of rain began to fall. The lighthouse loomed ahead, its white paint chipped and faded, the metal railings rusted by years of saltwater spray. Liam reached the massive wooden door and pushed it open, stepping into the musty interior. The air smelled of damp stone and old wood. As his eyes adjusted to the dim light, he noticed the spiral staircase winding upward, disappearing into shadows above. "Hello," he called softly, unsure if anyone was inside. His voice seemed to vanish into the hollow tower. Before he could take another step, a sudden gust of wind rattled the door, and rain began to pour heavily outside. Liam's plan to start his inspection would have to wait. He needed shelter from the storm. From the shadows, a figure appeared. Mara, a young woman with sharp eyes and a calm presence, stepped forward. She held a lantern, its soft light flickering across her face. "You shouldn't be out here," she said, her voice steady despite the wind outside. "The storm is coming faster than expected. You'll get soaked." Liam smiled, grateful for her presence. "I'm Liam. I came to inspect the lighthouse. I didn't expect a storm like this." Mara studied him for a moment, then nodded. "I'm Mara. My uncle is the keeper here, but he's not well. I've been taking care of things while he rests." Her tone was quiet but firm, as if she had grown used to responsibility beyond her years. Liam handed her a small notebook. "I'll need to take notes and measurements. Is that all right?" Mara gestured toward a small table near the base of the staircase. "You can work there. But be careful. The lighthouse is old, and the stairs aren't safe in this weather." As the storm raged outside, Liam set up his tools, occasionally glancing at Mara. There was something about the way she moved, careful, yet confident, that made him feel a sense of trust. Mara, meanwhile, observed him quietly, curious about the stranger who had come so far to work in the middle of a storm. Lightning flashed, illuminating the spiral staircase and casting long shadows across the walls. Liam's eyes were drawn to strange markings etched into the stone, almost like symbols. He traced them with his finger, wondering what they meant. Mara noticed and approached. "Those have been here for a long time," she said softly. "No one really knows who put them there, or why." Liam's curiosity deepened. "It's like the lighthouse is holding a secret." Mara's eyes met his, and she hesitated before speaking. "Maybe it is. Some things are better left alone, though. Storms and secrets, they can be dangerous together." But Liam's excitement could not be contained. The storm outside seemed to echo his own racing thoughts. He wanted to explore every corner, understand every hidden detail. Mara, seeing his enthusiasm, felt a mix of caution and intrigue. Perhaps having someone to share the lighthouse with wasn't so bad after all. The rain pounded against the windows, and the wind whistled through cracks in the walls. Liam and Mara sat together, talking about the lighthouse, the town, and the endless ocean beyond. There was a comfort in their conversation, a feeling of connection that neither had expected. The storm outside made the world feel small, but inside the lighthouse, a small spark of something new began to grow, a friendship, and maybe something more. As night fell, the lighthouse stood against the storm like a silent guardian. Liam and Mara, sitting close enough to share the warmth of the lantern, both realized that this night would be remembered not for the storm, but for the unexpected meeting that had started something neither of them could yet name. Outside, the sea raged, but inside the lighthouse, the first threads of trust, curiosity, and quiet admiration began to weave a bond that neither the wind nor the waves could break. The storm had not ended by morning. The wind still howled across the cliffs, and rain battered the lighthouse windows with relentless force. Liam rubbed his eyes, feeling the exhaustion from a restless night, yet the mysteries of the lighthouse kept his mind awake. Mara had already started her morning routine, lighting the lanterns and checking the structure for any damage. Her movements were calm and practiced, like someone who had lived here long enough to know every corner by heart. "Good morning," Liam said, his voice low over the roar of the storm. "Did the night get worse, or was it just the same as before?" Mara glanced at him, a small smile on her face. "About the same. The wind has no plan, and neither do the waves. It's part of living near the sea." Liam nodded, watching as she carefully checked the railings and the staircase. The lighthouse was old, and the storm reminded him just how fragile human efforts could feel against nature's power. Yet there was also a sense of wonder how such a structure had survived for decades, standing firm against every storm. After breakfast, Liam started examining the lighthouse more closely. The spiral staircase, though worn, was sturdy enough for him to climb. Mara followed, keeping close in case he needed assistance. Liam noticed the markings he had seen last night were more numerous than he initially realized. Some were carved into the stone walls, others were faded inscriptions in the wood. "These markings," Liam whispered, running his fingers along the edges. "They look like a code. Or maybe messages. Someone must have wanted to leave something behind." Mara watched him quietly. "I've always been curious, too. But no one has ever dared to follow them all the way. My uncle, he warns me that some secrets are better left undiscovered." Liam smiled softly. "I can't help it. I want to understand. Maybe it's nothing more than old scribbles, but maybe it's a story waiting to be told." Mara hesitated but then shrugged, as if deciding it was time to share a small part of her own curiosity. "I have some old journals," she said. "They belong to previous keepers. There are stories and observations. Some are boring, some are strange. You can look if you want." Liam's eyes lit up. "I'd love to see them." Mara led him to a hidden compartment near the base of the staircase. Inside were several worn leather journals, their pages yellowed and fragile. Liam carefully opened one and began reading aloud. The entries were filled with accounts of storms, ship sightings, and sometimes unusual events, a light in the distance when no ship should have been there, or markings appearing on the walls that no one could explain. As they read together, the storm outside seemed to fade into the background. The lighthouse became a world of its own, filled with mystery and stories waiting to be understood. Liam and Mara shared observations, laughed at small oddities, and occasionally fell silent, lost in the words of those who had come before them. Hours passed without either noticing. Mara's hand brushed against Liam's as she handed him another journal, and neither pulled away. There was a quiet, unspoken connection forming, built on trust, shared curiosity, and the excitement of discovery. At one point, Liam paused and looked out of a small window. The storm had softened slightly, though the sea still raged with enormous waves. "It's strange," he said. This place feels lonely and wild, but at the same time, alive. Like it's waiting for someone to understand it? Mara nodded. It has always been alive to me, in its own way. The lighthouse is more than stone and light, its memories, stories, and even warnings. Liam smiled, feeling a warmth he hadn't expected. And now we're part of its story, he said. For the rest of the day, they continued exploring, finding small nooks and old storage rooms filled with remnants of the past. Every discovery seemed to draw them closer not just to the lighthouse's history, but to each other. When Mara laughed at Liam's attempt to read a particularly faded journal entry aloud, he realized that her laughter was as comforting as the warm lantern light in the stormy darkness. By evening, the storm began to retreat, though the wind still whispered through the cracks. Liam and Mara sat together, looking out at the grey sea. "I never imagined I'd meet someone here like you," Liam said quietly. Mara's cheeks warmed, and she looked down at her hands. "And I didn't expect anyone to come this far just to see the lighthouse, or to care about its secrets." The lighthouse, battered but standing strong, had brought them together. It had shown them the power of human curiosity and resilience. And in the middle of the storm, a quiet bond had grown, a bond that neither distance nor weather could break. Outside, the waves still crashed, but inside, there was calm. Inside, there was connection, and the first threads of something deeper were beginning to take shape between Liam and Mara. The morning after the storm brought a strange calm. The sea had softened to gentle waves that lapped at the rocks, and the sky was a pale grey, tinged with gold from the rising sun. Liam and Mara stood at the top of the lighthouse, the wind light against their faces, looking out over the endless horizon. For the first time since he had arrived, Liam felt at peace. "Look at that," Mara said softly, pointing to a small cove hidden between jagged cliffs. "Not many people ever notice it." Liam followed her gaze. The cove was small and sheltered, almost like a secret the sea itself was keeping. "It's beautiful," he said. "And hidden. Just like this lighthouse." Mara smiled, a faint blush on her cheeks. "Some things are meant to be discovered slowly." The day was perfect for exploring. Liam had been thinking about the markings in the lighthouse and the journals they had read together. He felt a growing curiosity, a need to see if there was more hidden within the walls. Mara, sensing his excitement, led him down a narrow corridor she had never dared to explore fully herself. "I've never gone this far," she admitted quietly. "The corridor ends at a small room, but my uncle always warned me not to go in." Liam's eyes shone. "Then all the more reason to see it." They moved carefully, the floorboards creaking under their weight. The passage was dark and narrow, the walls damp from years of sea air. The further they went, the stronger Liam felt that the lighthouse itself was alive, holding memories, stories, and secrets that waited for someone brave enough to discover them. Mara's hand brushed against his accidentally as they squeezed through a particularly tight corner, and a small smile passed between them, shy but full of warmth. At the end of the corridor, they discovered a small, hidden observation room. Dust covered the wooden floor, and old furniture lay scattered about as if abandoned in a hurry. But it was what Liam saw on the walls that made his heart race, an old map of the coastline, pinned carefully, with tiny notes written in delicate handwriting. "These markings," Liam whispered, moving closer. "They match some of the symbols in the journals." Mara leaned over his shoulder, her eyes scanning the map. "It looks like someone tried to mark every safe harbor, every rock, every hidden cove. It's like a guide, or a message." For hours, they worked together, examining the map and cross-referencing it with the journals. They discovered that the previous lighthouse keepers had left small clues for anyone who might need them: warnings about dangerous tides, hints about hidden supplies, even messages of hope for sailors lost at sea. It was a treasure, not of gold or jewels, but of knowledge and care. As they deciphered one particularly difficult symbol, Liam looked at Mara. "You're really good at this," he said. "You notice details that I miss." Mara felt a warmth in her chest. "I've always been curious about this place," she said softly. "I just never had anyone to explore it with." Their shared discovery made the bond between them stronger. Working together, laughing when they misread a note, helping each other balance on the old wooden floor, it all created a rhythm, a quiet harmony. The lighthouse was no longer just stone and light, it was a bridge between their hearts. In a quiet moment, Liam picked up an old lantern from the room and held it toward Mara. "I never expected to find someone here," he said, his voice gentle. "Someone I feel connected to." Mara's eyes met his, and for the first time, she let herself believe in the possibility of something more. "I feel the same," she whispered. They continued exploring until the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the room. Liam carefully rolled up the map and placed it back in its hiding place, while Mara cleaned up the scattered journals. Together, they left the hidden room, feeling as though they had discovered not just the secrets of the lighthouse, but the beginnings of a story that belonged to both of them. Outside, the lighthouse stood tall against the orange and pink sky. It had endured storms, winds, and waves for decades, yet here it was, shining quietly in the light of a new day. Liam and Mara, standing side by side, realized that the lighthouse had given them more than history and knowledge, it had given them each other. And as the first stars began to appear, the wind whispered through the tower, carrying with it a promise, that this lighthouse, and the people who cared for it, would continue to endure, together, no matter what storms came next. The following morning, the lighthouse glimmered under a pale sun. The storm had passed completely, leaving the air fresh and salty, with only the occasional gust of wind sweeping across the cliffs. Liam and Mara were busy checking the lighthouse's structure, making small repairs and clearing debris left by the previous night's storm. Their laughter mingled with the sound of the waves, and for a moment, it seemed as if the world had paused just for them. "Be careful with that beam," Mara called softly, pointing to a section of the spiral staircase that looked loose. "It's old, and it might not hold." "I've got it," Liam replied with a confident smile. "I think I can fix it before it causes trouble." He began to work carefully, examining the wood and tightening bolts. Mara stayed nearby, handing him tools and keeping an eye on the stairs. They worked well together, a rhythm forming as naturally as the waves crashing below. But suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the lighthouse. Liam froze for a moment, his heart jumping. The beam he had been inspecting had shifted, and the floor beneath him trembled. Before he could react, it gave way slightly, sending him stumbling toward the edge of the staircase. "Mara," he shouted. Without hesitation, Mara lunged forward, grabbing his arm just in time. Her hands were steady, her grip firm. "Hold on," she urged, her voice strong despite the sudden fear. Liam steadied himself, breathing heavily. "Thank you," he said, his voice shaking slightly. I didn't expect it to move like that." Mara nodded, her own heartbeat racing. "We have to be more careful," she said. "This lighthouse has its own ways of testing people." Together, they inspected the beam again, making sure it was secure before continuing their work. The scare had brought a new sense of awareness. They realized that even the strongest structures required respect and careful attention. Liam felt a surge of gratitude toward Mara. Her courage and quick thinking had prevented a serious accident, and he knew he could trust her completely. As they worked, they shared stories of past challenges. Liam talked about his experiences repairing bridges and old buildings in distant towns, while Mara recounted moments when she had faced storms alone in the lighthouse, tending the lights and keeping records. Each story revealed resilience and strength, and each story deepened their admiration for one another. By afternoon, the repairs were complete, and they decided to take a break. Mara led Liam to a small observation deck near the top of the lighthouse, where they could see the entire coastline. The waves sparkled under the sunlight, and the sea seemed peaceful now, almost as if it had forgiven the storm. "I never thought I'd enjoy the quiet after a storm so much," Liam said, leaning on the railing. "It feels like the world is holding its breath, just for a moment." Mara smiled, her eyes reflecting the calm water below. "It's one of the reasons I love this place," she said. "Even after chaos, there is always beauty. And there is always hope." Liam turned to her, feeling a sudden boldness. "You've shown me that, Mara. Not just the lighthouse, but the strength to face challenges, and the courage to keep going, no matter what." Mara's cheeks warmed slightly. "And you've shown me that it's okay to share the burden, to trust someone else. I feel safer with you here." The words hung between them, unspoken yet clear. The lighthouse, which had once seemed like a lonely place filled only with echoes of the past, now felt alive with connection. Liam reached out and gently touched Mara's hand. She didn't pull away, instead, she let their fingers intertwine, a small but meaningful gesture of trust and care. The rest of the day passed in quiet companionship. They explored small rooms they hadn't noticed before, discovered old tools and lanterns, and shared meals while sitting near the large windows that looked out over the cliffs. Every task became a shared adventure, every moment a way to learn more about each other and the lighthouse they were slowly bringing back to life. As night approached, the lighthouse stood tall, casting its beam of light over the calm sea. Liam and Mara sat together at the top, watching the horizon turn golden and then deep blue. The events of the day had tested them, but they had faced the challenge together, and in doing so, their bond had grown stronger. Outside, the ocean whispered, and the lighthouse stood firm against the wind, waves, and storms of the past. Inside, Liam and Mara knew that whatever challenges came next, they would face them side by side, with courage, trust, and a growing connection that neither storm nor time could ever break. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the lighthouse, and for the first time in days, the air was completely calm. The storm was gone, leaving behind a sparkling coastline and the gentle sound of waves lapping against the rocks. Liam and Mara stepped outside together, their boots crunching on the damp sand, breathing in the fresh, salty air. It was a day for exploration, for laughter, and for quiet reflection. "Look at how calm the sea is now," Mara said, pointing toward the horizon. "It's like it's thanking us for surviving the storm." Liam smiled, glancing at her. "Or maybe it's giving us a chance to enjoy it." They walked along the narrow path leading to the cliffs, careful of the slippery stones. The lighthouse, towering behind them, seemed to shine brighter in the sun, its walls gleaming white against the blue sky. Liam felt a sense of pride and wonder. The structure that had once been a symbol of isolation now felt alive, almost as if it were celebrating their friendship and their shared efforts. As they explored the cliffs, they found small treasures hidden by nature: smooth stones, colorful shells, and tiny pools left behind by the receding tide. Liam picked up a stone shaped like a heart and handed it to Mara. "For luck," he said with a grin. Mara laughed, her eyes sparkling. "I'll keep it. But only if you promise to find more interesting treasures for me tomorrow." The day passed in easy companionship. They repaired small sections of the lighthouse together, painting railings and cleaning windows, laughing when paint splashed where it shouldn't, teasing each other over clumsy missteps. Each small task became a game, a way to learn about one another beyond words. Liam admired Mara's steady hands and thoughtful approach, while Mara enjoyed Liam's curiosity and gentle humor. After lunch, Mara suggested they take a small boat to the hidden cove she had shown him earlier. Liam agreed eagerly, and together they rowed through calm waters, the lighthouse fading behind them like a guardian watching over the shore. In the cove, the water was so clear they could see the sand and stones beneath their feet. They laughed as they skipped stones and watched the tiny fish darting between rocks. Sitting on a smooth rock, Mara turned to Liam. "I never thought I'd have a day like this," she said softly. "A day without storms, without worry, just calm and beauty." Liam looked at her, feeling warmth spread through his chest. "It's more than calm," he said. "It's perfect because I'm here with you." Mara's cheeks tinged pink, and she looked away, pretending to be interested in the waves. But her smile betrayed her thoughts. Liam reached out and gently touched her hand. She didn't pull away, instead letting their fingers rest together naturally. It was a quiet, unspoken acknowledgement of the bond that had grown between them, a connection forged through shared challenges and quiet moments of understanding. Later, they returned to the lighthouse and spent the afternoon exploring the upper floors they hadn't fully seen. They discovered old furniture, tiny rooms, and forgotten storage areas, each space telling stories of the lighthouse's past. Liam read aloud from the journals, and Mara listened intently, occasionally pointing out details he had missed. Their laughter echoed through the empty halls, filling the lighthouse with life once again. As the sun began to set, they climbed to the top of the tower. The sky was painted with shades of orange, pink, and purple, reflecting on the calm waters below. Liam handed Mara a small lantern, its light warm against the twilight. "Do you think the lighthouse remembers all the people who cared for it?" Liam asked quietly. Mara smiled, looking at the horizon. "I think it does. And I think it remembers the people who find courage, curiosity, and kindness within themselves. People like you and like me." Liam felt his heart swell. "I'm glad I came here," he said softly. "And I'm glad I met you." Mara turned toward him, her eyes reflecting the last light of the sun. "Me too," she whispered. The lighthouse, which had stood for decades against storms and winds, now seemed to stand as a symbol of their friendship and growing affection. The calm after the storm had given them more than just peace, it had given them the chance to discover each other, to laugh, to trust, and to begin something gentle and enduring. As night fell, the first stars appeared, sparkling over the lighthouse. Liam and Mara stayed at the top, watching the sky turn darker, feeling the quiet strength of the lighthouse beneath them. It had weathered storms for years, and now it would witness the beginnings of a story filled with courage, curiosity, and a gentle, growing love, two hearts learning to trust, to care, and to shine together. The morning air was crisp, and the lighthouse seemed brighter than ever, bathed in the soft golden light of dawn. Liam and Mara had grown accustomed to the rhythms of the place, the way the wind whispered through the cracks in the walls, the gentle roll of the waves, and the way the lighthouse itself seemed to guide them, not just ships at sea but each other as well. Liam was checking the lower levels, inspecting beams and staircases, while Mara carefully examined the old journals they had found in the hidden room. Something about the pages had been nagging at her all morning, a pattern she had only begun to notice. "Liam," she called, her voice filled with quiet excitement. "You need to see this." Liam hurried over, wiping his hands on his pants. Mara pointed to a series of notes in the journals, written by previous keepers. They were small and easy to miss, tucked between weather reports and observations about passing ships. But when Mara lined them up, a story began to appear, one of courage, dedication, and love. "It's a story," Mara whispered, her eyes wide. "A keeper long ago left messages for someone he cared for. He described storms, lonely nights, and his hope that they would reunite one day. It's like a love story hidden in the lighthouse." Liam leaned closer, tracing the faint words with his fingers. "It's beautiful," he said softly. "And it's sad too. He must have waited a long time, maybe never knowing if they'd come back." Mara nodded. "I think that's why the markings were left. So the story wouldn't be lost. So someone would know that love can endure storms and time." They spent hours piecing together the story, reading every entry aloud to one another, imagining the lives of the people who had cared for the lighthouse before them. Each new detail made the past feel alive, and with it came a deeper understanding of the place they were in. The lighthouse wasn't just stone and metal, it was memory, hope, and the human spirit. As the afternoon sun filtered through the tall windows, Liam and Mara climbed to the hidden observation room once more. The map on the wall seemed to glow in the soft light. Liam pointed to a note scribbled at the edge. "Look at this. It's a message from the same keeper. It says something about courage, and about trusting someone to share the light with you." Mara's hand brushed against his as she reached to point at another note. Neither pulled away. "It feels like the lighthouse is telling us something," she said softly. Liam turned to her, the warmth in his chest growing. "I think it is," he said. "It's telling us that courage, trust, and care are more important than anything else. And, maybe it's reminding us to be brave with each other." For the first time, Mara let herself smile fully, unguarded. "I've been afraid," she admitted. "Afraid of storms, and of being alone, and of letting someone in. But now, I feel safe. I trust you, Liam." Liam's heart swelled. "And I trust you, Mara. You've shown me so much patience, courage, care. I've never met anyone like you." They sat together in silence for a moment, the quiet of the lighthouse around them, the story of the past echoing through the walls. It was a peaceful silence, full of understanding and the unspoken acknowledgement of feelings that had grown stronger with every shared moment, every discovered secret, and every challenge overcome. Finally, Liam reached out and gently held Mara's hand. She looked into his eyes and let her fingers intertwine with his. It was simple, yet it felt monumental, an unspoken promise to be there for each other, to face storms and calm alike together. Later, as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting golden light across the cliffs, Liam and Mara explored the rest of the lighthouse. They moved carefully, discovering small compartments, old lanterns, and faded photographs of keepers long gone. Each discovery felt like a gift from the past, a message that life, hope, and love could endure even in isolation. By evening, they stood at the top of the tower, looking out at the endless sea. The waves sparkled in the last light of the sun, and the lighthouse's beam began its slow, steady rotation. Liam looked at Mara, feeling a quiet joy that filled him completely. "The lighthouse has given us so much," he said. "It taught us about courage, hope, and now, about each other." Mara smiled, leaning slightly against him. And it will keep guiding us, she said softly. Through storms, and through calm. Through everything. The lighthouse, worn by time but still strong, stood as a symbol of endurance, resilience, and connection. Liam and Mara had uncovered its secret, and in doing so, they had discovered the depth of their feelings for one another. They had learned that love, like the lighthouse, could shine brightest after storms, guiding hearts safely home. The morning sun shone brightly, painting the lighthouse in soft gold. The storm had become only a memory, and the sea stretched calm and endless, reflecting the light in gentle ripples. Liam and Mara stood together on the cliffside path, looking at the lighthouse they had repaired, explored, and slowly brought back to life. Every beam, every wall, every step told a story, and now they could see their own story reflected in it. I can't believe how strong this place is, Liam said, looking up at the tower. It has faced storms that would have destroyed anything else, yet it stands tall. It's inspiring. Mara smiled, leaning slightly against him. Just like people, she said. We face challenges, sometimes alone, sometimes together. And if we keep going, we endure. We learn. We grow. Liam nodded, feeling the truth in her words. I couldn't have done any of this without you, he said quietly. You've taught me courage, patience, and how to see the beauty even in difficult times. And you've shown me that trust can bring warmth even in the loneliest places, Mara replied, her voice gentle. I'm glad you stayed, Liam. I'm glad we found each other here. The lighthouse stood behind them, its beam sweeping over the calm sea, a steady rhythm that had guided countless sailors safely to shore. Now, it seemed to shine for them as well, a symbol of hope, endurance, and connection. Liam and Mara had uncovered its hidden stories, learned from them, and woven their own chapter into its long history. That afternoon, they walked along the cliff's edge, talking about the future. They imagined maintaining the lighthouse together, welcoming visitors who came seeking its history, teaching them about its secrets, and sharing the lessons it held. Each idea brought laughter and smiles, a feeling of home and partnership that neither had expected when Liam first arrived. Later, they returned inside and climbed to the top of the tower. The view was breathtaking, the sun reflecting off the waves, the small town resting quietly below, and the cliffs stretching into the distance. Liam placed his hand gently on Mara's shoulder. It's beautiful, he said softly. But it's even more beautiful because we're here together. Mara leaned into him slightly, her eyes shining. And we'll keep facing whatever comes next, she said. Storms, calm days, challenges, everything. Together. As the evening sky turned soft shades of pink and purple, the lighthouse beam rotated steadily, casting a warm circle of light across the ocean. Liam and Mara sat side by side, their hands intertwined, feeling the quiet strength of the tower beneath them. It had been a place of solitude, of secrets, of history, but now it had become a home filled with laughter, trust, and the beginnings of love. Do you think it will ever stop guiding people? Liam asked, gazing out at the horizon. Mara shook her head, smiling. No. As long as someone cares for it, it will always shine. And so will we, in our own way. Night fell, and stars appeared, twinkling over the calm sea. The lighthouse, once battered by storms and time, stood strong and proud, a testament to endurance and hope. Liam and Mara watched the reflection of the stars in the water, feeling connected not only to each other but to all the stories the lighthouse had held over the years. I've never felt more at peace, Liam said quietly. Not just because the storm is over, but because we found this place, and each other. Mara squeezed his hand gently. And now we can write our own story here. One that will be remembered in its walls, in the light, and in our hearts. The two of them stood together in silence, listening to the soft whisper of the waves below, the steady pulse of the lighthouse beam, and the gentle wind against the cliffs. It was a quiet ending to the storms they had faced, a beginning to a life of shared adventure, trust, and growing love. From that night onward, the lighthouse was no longer only a guide for ships at sea. It was a symbol of human courage, connection, and the power of shared hope. And for Liam and Mara, it became the place where two hearts had found each other steady, strong, and ready to face whatever storms or calm days lay ahead, together. The lighthouse, like their bond, stood eternal, shining its light far and wide, a reminder that even in the harshest conditions, humans could endure, care, and love. And as long as the waves continued to crash against the cliffs, Liam and Mara knew they would face the future hand in hand, their story forever intertwined with the secret and strength of the storm-washed lighthouse.